Welcome to the Shifter Studio. I'm your host, Coach C. I assist parents who are struggling with stress and family discord and help them shift their way back to parental peace. I had mentioned yesterday that today and for the next 10 days, we were going to be taking a look at 10 common areas that parents stress or have concern over in regards to child rearing. Before we get started, I'm going to ask you a favor. If anything that I say to you today resonates with you, makes you think, makes you annoyed, please subscribe and also share. This list is not in any particular order, and as we know, every family is unique. So these 10 areas may not be the areas that are experienced by every family, and every family may not experience all 10 anyway. But this is a general list, not the only list of areas of concern. Today, we're going to be taking a look at bullying, peer pressure, and fitting in. Before we get started, I want to share a definition for bullying. I think it's important that we understand what bullying actually is because in my line of work, I am a school leader, a principal at a middle school. The word bullying is often thrown out when it may be peer pressure, when it may be conflict, and not necessarily officially bullying. Bullying is a form of aggressive behavior in which someone intentionally and repeatedly, that's the key word. When it comes to bullying, it's repeatedly. It's not someone does something once and the other person is offended. That's not bullying. Bullying means the offense is repeated over and over. The person is asked to stop, they continue. The person is shown how their actions bother the other person, and they continue. Bullying can take the form of physical bullying, emotional bullying, words, or more subtle actions. So, how do we combat bullying, the peer pressure that our children often feel, and the stress of fitting in? That's something that we as parents definitely feel for our children when we see them going through it. Bullying, we know what we have to do. And that's to stop bullying. If it's happening, for example, at the school level, you have to make your concerns known. You have to formally lodge a complaint. So these are the things that we can do as parents to address bullying. And I would say also be vigilant. Uh, Sometimes your children will not even share with you that they are being bullied. That's going to come later on in our time together. I'm going to show you a way that you would be able to discern that something is off with your child, and that will open the door for you to have conversations to get to the bottom or the root cause of what is stressing your child, which sometimes may be bullying. So, bullying, peer pressure, while it is uncomfortable, does not always have to be bullying. Peer pressure, however, can make your child feel uncomfortable. Sometimes peer pressure, though, is an internal job. Sometimes our children see other children doing things and they feel they want to join them, even if they know that it's something that they shouldn't do. So they feel the pressure of not being in the in group. Sometimes, however, the in group will keep our children away, will make it hard for them to fit in, will make belonging to the group a subset of some sort of earning. They have to earn their way into the group. So if you're not wearing the right clothing, if your family doesn't have the right amount of money, if you're not allowed the certain amount of freedom and the ability to move as you want to move as a teenager, for example, you may not be able to hang with the young people that do have those freedoms. And so you feel the pressure from your peers to conform to how they are moving. So, peer pressure, not always bullying, but definitely uncomfortable. And then finally, fitting in. How do we help our young people understand or develop their sense of self worth so that they understand the difference between having a friend, having an associate, and understanding the importance of not always striving to fit in? While fitting in is a very, very normal thing for teenagers to strive for, it is very, very important that they understand the difference between fitting in for something that is fun, fitting in for something that is lighthearted, and fitting in times where their very safety can be at stake. So, in our homes, how can we support parents who have children who are experiencing these things, these very common things? I'm going to share a couple of strategies that I would suggest, and then I really invite you in the comments to share some of your own. How have you dealt with bullying, peer pressure, and fitting in when it has come up in your household? My first tip would be to allow for agency in your classroom. I mean, not in your classroom. That's principal. That's me, principal talking. I'm not the principal right now. Allow for agency in your home, meaning allow for your children, where appropriate and when safe, to have a choice. Allow for them to, if they have a red shirt and a blue shirt, allow for them to decide which shirt they want to wear. Don't be so hung up on those colors don't match. The fact that they have the agency and the wherewithal to make a choice, to make a decision, to have an impact, doing it in the home where it's safe on those little hills will strengthen them when they have to face the big hill in school and in society concerning things that are much more harmful. If we don't allow our children the space to have a decision making strength to say no, if we don't allow for it at home where it's safe, how can we expect our children to say no and to make good decisions and choices out there in the big bad world, whether it be school or society in general? Second thing I would like to share, having an opinion is not inherently disrespectful. A lot of adults, and I'll speak from my experience growing up in the children are to be seen and not heard era, a child having an opinion, oh no, that's disrespectful. Who raised you? That was what I had to contend with growing up. However, if our children are not allowed to have opinions, this then goes right back to what we were just talking about, the ability to have the discernment to say, no, I don't want to do that. Let me give you an example, a life example. I like to talk about things that have actually occurred in either my household or my personal experience, because every lesson doesn't come from research. Some lessons come from our life experiences. When I was 18 years old, and I had an interview the next day, it was my friend's birthday. I had an interview the next day. Another one of our friends wanted me to engage in cannabis. I said, no, I can't. I have something to do tomorrow. It's, very important. That friend got upset. Not the friends whose birthday it was, but the other friend got upset that I wouldn't smoke weed. Why? Why did it matter? Who knows? But they were upset. And they were so upset that they didn't speak to me. And this was the summer. We went into the fall, the winter, and the spring. And this person, who I consider to be a very, very good friend, had stopped speaking to me because I chose not to do something. When you have peers or when you have friends as children, when you have friends who get upset with you and mad with you because you do not want to do something, that's not the best relationship. It's unhealthy, and it's important that our young people understand that. But the only way that they will understand that is having the comfort with being able to have an opinion, with being able to say no, right? So let's come back to the conversation where you're asking your young person how they feel about X, Y, or Z, and they share their opinion. Please remember that disrespect is often about time and tone. Okay, time and tone. As a parent, there are times when I say, this is X, and it has to be X. It is what it is. I can listen to what you have to say about it, but X is not moving. It is what it is. And that's okay. But there are other times, like I said, with the two shirts, the red shirt and the blue shirt, doesn't have to be, that line doesn't have to be drawn in the sand, right? So there's time and then there's tone. How is your young person sharing their feelings with you? Are they being belligerent? Are they being nasty? Are they, acting out of order in some way? Are they presenting their opinion in a way that's making you focus on how they are presenting it versus the opinion? Time and tone. If that's what's happening, then address the tone. Say, we'll talk later. We'll talk later. Get yourself together. We're not talking right now. It's okay to say that. So time and tone are what determine disrespect, right? If I'm telling my child something and it's a safety issue and I'm saying this is what it is, then my child, who's grown up with me, who knows I, mean him no inherent harm, listen, right? So time and tone, right? So allowing for the no and no thank you to be utilized in your home in times where it's appropriate, uh, with people where it's appropriate. It breaks my heart to hear about the stories from young people who say that their parents forced them to give hugs and kisses to adults who had actually harmed them in some way. We have a lot of adults who carry the trauma from childhood into adulthood and look at their parents as enablers to their trauma because they forced them to play nice with the person who was hurting them, right? Third way we can encourage our young people to stand up against bullying, peer pressure, and not fitting in. Be an active listener. As a parent, be an active listener. Listen to understand, not to respond. Make sure when your child is talking to you, they know that they have your full attention. Put your cell phone down, look them in the eye, be able to paraphrase what it is that they've said to you. Ask good questions, right? Be an active listener. And the final thing that I would encourage you to do is to make space for your relationship development, both whole family. So if you have 2, 3, 4 children, doing things with the family, uh, building a relationship with your children as a family, but also building the individual one-on-one relationship with the single child. I will admit that as a mother of twins, that oftentimes was a challenge for me, right? Not seeing them as two different people, but giving both of them an equal amount of solo time. Sometimes that was a little tricky to balance, but I would recommend that, because now going back to the times when you can see that something is off with your child, but they are not being forthcoming about sharing it, this building of the relationship, this is what's going to open the door for you to be able to have that conversation with them about what's truly bothering them. A lot of times teens are not forthcoming. They don't necessarily seek out their parents to, share things with. Sometimes they turn to their peers before they turn to their parents. Sometimes they will turn to another adult before they turn to their parents. All of that is normal and natural in the teen's development. However, if you have made space and built the relationship with your teen, when you go to them, because you recognize whether they share it with you or not, but you recognize that there is something off with your child, and you begin the conversation with them, it's harder for them to just shut down and not say anything. They're not going to think, oh, you're just coming to me because you want me to be happy so everything is right in the house, because you've put in the work to build a relationship where they understand that you see them, you love them, and you value them for who they are, whether they are in the throes of something or not. You love them because you love them. Although we think that teens should understand that and know that, they don't. They don't inherently know that. They need lots of demonstration of that. So, making space for the relationship between yourself and your child is going to definitely help you with combating those 3 areas: the bullying, the peer pressure, and the fitting in. And once again, let me just say, I'm in no way saying that you have to handle bullying yourself. When you recognize that bullying is occurring, you go to the school, you contact the school. The school has a definite responsibility for addressing bullying. Okay? So, with that being said, that's one of 10 of the top areas that parents have expressed concern or are stressing over. If you are a parent who has stress in one of those areas, bullying, peer pressure, or fitting in, when it comes to your child, please feel free to message me. As I said, I work with parents and help them shift to parental peace. We knock those things out. Thank you so much for listening, and I will be back tomorrow with the second of 10 areas of stress for parents in regards to child rearing. Take care.